many years back said, okay, we're going to stop building 8-cylinder engine for and 6-cylinder. I was pretty new at the company, just started, my marketing job in Japan, and I'm American. I'm like, no 8-cylinder engines. This is a disaster. I had arrived a few months before we launched the XC90, which was our next generation of spot cars. Yeah. And so we built, I think, essentially the brand structure that we've been using, where, very based on our Swedish heritage, really bringing in, I think, the environmental messages that are important to us.
And then the one where you guys are using the philosopher's voiceover.
Yeah, our Watts. With the little Watts called.
Yeah, that was also like, wow.
My goodness, don't you remember when you went first to school? You're still going step by step up to the great moment in which you're ready to go out into the world. Suddenly, when you're about 40 or 45 years old in the middle of life, you wake up one day and say, huh? There is no use planning for a future, which when you get to it and it becomes a present, you won't be there. You'll be living in some other future which hasn't yet arrived. You can't live at all unless you can live fully now.
At first, when they brought to me, like, we're gonna think, what? But it was turned out to be like, worth a look. Definitely worth a look.
Yeah, the EX30.
Good. Yeah,
It's the small little things that matter.
yeah. I also thought that would
The key to know in Malaysia what is the average, and also understanding that I think in the moment 2030 is going to be 100%.
Yes.
So gradually you have to work to that. So where is Malaysia at?
So at the moment, I think we're actually trending probably quicker than the rest of the world, right? So, but if we look at our global vision, 2025 is now something we've been very clear publicly that we want to be 50% pure electric by 2030, 100% pure electric, and all of our industrial systems now are set up for that, right? So we have stopped developing pure petrol engines, and all of the new cars that we launch going forward now are going to be pure electric, right? So I think that's the cadence of how things are working. And here in Malaysia, I think we when we launched XC40, and we said that we would like to be pure electric at 75% by 2025, and that's very quickly, right? But I think it's, as we see the market develop here, and the number of electric cars being launched and the progress that we're making, I think we're leaning into the right mega trend on this one, and I'm becoming more optimistic, I think, as time goes by. But it's a major change, and there's a lot of shifts, and I think that attention is something we're still standing behind.
And my last question, with regards to the infrastructure, charging infrastructure.
Yes.
So quite a number of your competitors had a lot of partnerships being announced. Yes. Other energy providers, yes, as they are also transitioning. Sure. Is Volvo also looking at sort of building out his own infrastructure, or are you going to be relying on other players?
At the moment, we're concentrating on, I think, having now driven XC40 and the C40 for coming up on a year, you really get to learn a lot about what it really means to own an electric car, right? And I think our strategy is really, I think, quite in tune with what I see when I drive a car, which is having infrastructure at home is the most important infrastructure, right? So when I'm talking to government officials, when I'm talking to, I think there is this thought that the most important thing is that we need quick charging between here and behind, right? But the truth is, when you're driving a car, if you have a charging at home, that's a huge enabler. And there's only been 2 times a year that I've driven the cars is where I've got below 50% of battery life, right? So you think it's going to be like all the way down to 2 or 3%. I never get below 50%. And I think with the ranges that we have now, that is largely the case because you're leaving your parking area with 100% charge, right? So you have incredible range and you rarely reach those range. So the focus that we have is to get as many, I think, as good of home infrastructure as we can. And that's a real enabler for our customers. I don't see us building big charging infrastructure. I see us leveraging the overall public infrastructure. At least that's where we're reading it now. I think we are certainly targeting early adopters with our EVs, people that can have charging stations at home. I think this is a key bit. But we will do things like here in each of our dealerships, we'll have DC chargers and things like this. But largely that'll be our strategy, is to lean on the public infrastructure, but privately focus on.
I send my kids to school, bag, grocery, everything. And then when you're driving daily on normal roads, you're not speeding, and it reduces so slow.
Yeah.
And the bad, it's like Thursday, Friday, like, okay, I still got 48%.
Yeah.
All right.
Amazing. Is like, in the end, I do think that the world is going to go electric, Ryan. But at the time we do, I think for some of those that want to travel long distance, there needs to be kind of a step-by-step approach for them where they can still be electric, right? So you talk about 150 range on an electric car, right? With our new petrol range, like we're at 90 kilometers. Like 90 kilometers, you can bet you can probably drive 80-90% of the time without on full electric, right? So these, and then you can also just rely on the petrol engine when you want to drive to Penang.
That's actually my question when just on you mentioned Volvo is going pure electric.
Yes.
Or 100% electrification. Basically, your model range, would it only be EVs, or you will have a combination of PHEVs?
Into the near future, we will be building a lineup of PHEVs and full electrics.
Yeah.
But over time, we will go full electric, right? Even the PHEVs eventually will go, but I think there needs to be a step-by-step approach, right? We need to have an opportunity for people that have this range anxiety, that aren't really ready to be an early adopter and jump into BEVs, to have an electric option.
Because your new PHEVs with, like what you mentioned, 80-90 km is fantastic.
Yeah.
I had the previous generation, 20-30 km.
Yeah. But still, it was ending, right? Yeah, pretty long.
But when it's 80-90, you can legitimately not fire up the ICE.
Exactly. Just let that trade all the higher electric and
you're lugging a smaller battery.
Yes.
Let's say 10 years down the road, you still love the car.
Yeah.
You can replace that smaller battery. Presumably, it will be cheaper and bigger. So I think a PHEV with that kind of range in pure electric is really, really good and very practical, especially for those with like one parking, just two parking lots. They can't.
Yeah.
They don't have the luxury for another EV.
Exactly.
And I don't know about the government recently, is that now they're putting a hold, right? They don't allow basement parking to install chargers. They're going to announce it this month, right? The government. I mean, I still find PHEVs are still very important for regional, because if you're talking about European, they do a lot of cross-continent. Right? From Spain all the way to, we see it's a one word PS. Yeah, that's in our number one still. You can definitely do really huge miles, but for regions like Singapore, you can go full EV. It's so small, really. I would call right, isolated places you can go full EV. But I think like Malaysia, I mean, I know. It's like in terms of sales region,
Whenever you make the decision by a Volvo, you can then the dealership will work and one of our installers, our certified installers, to make sure that you can safely install a charger at home. Not on, and they can, right? And I think that's one of the things I think you need to except that you will probably experience more range anxiety if you can't charge at home, right? So one of the key things I think that's actually been driving our BEV sale, our electric vehicle sales recently is we're offering a free charger, right? And that I think has really been driving a lot of sales. So that's something that once you have that, and that's one of the things that I like to talk about because it is insightful for me that focusing on the infrastructure, the most important infrastructure is home infrastructure for electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Right.
Volvo, after sales, what's the service interval for what was he?
It's a year.
1 year?
Yeah.
Or how many kilometers? 15,000.
I think it's 15. They can ask these guys that. I know it's a year. But I think it's, they take less service, right? Unless we live in it. It's less expensive, yes, but there are other things that will offset this, right? So, for example, your brakes, tires, there's much more torque to these cars, right? So you have to have, tires that are associated, that allow this, right? A little more expensive to replace your tires, a little cheaper to maintain it. It ends up balancing itself. Although we make the safest cars in the world, they still, from time to time, run into other cars. And so the body shop business is becoming more and more important to us. So you've probably seen that we now have Volvo certified damage repair. We've invested, we have the very best equipment to be able to bring your car back to like new, right? And I think these are areas that we're shifting our focus to.
Some say that EV in Malaysia is more like a trend. But they want to know because they are bored with the normal offering. They have been driving all these luxury cars before, so they wanted something new.
Yes.
So when they try the new models, it is the same except the design. So that's why they went EV. Now maybe they really use the EV for 5-6 years. Do you think they will be back to buy another EV, or they might change back to it?
I like helping the market, the environment before, but now I didn't think
I don't think anybody will go back.
I also don't.
Yeah, and especially, women don't like it when guys are noisy, like just cars with exhaust and all that, right? Every woman will think, even my kids, like kids now, oh, this is an electric car? Yeah. Why? No noise.
Yeah.
They say, love me, kid.
Yes, it is. I think that what is often underestimated, one, the environment, and what's often underestimated, it's a better way to drive out. Right? The pure driving experience is just a better driving experience, right?
But using the cooling and all, from what I can see personally, even EVs with active cooling, the speed of fast is still within about 9%.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yes.
But market perception, especially when you want sell back.
Yeah.
Essentially, they worry about the happy plus batteries here. So, we will have any Volvo here in Malaysia and have any plans to actually get some completed so that a decent vending be not profitable.
Yep. I think this is a challenge. One of the things that I think I'd like to get some information for you. That's a good question that I should dig into.
But Volvo PHEVs has the strongest resale value versus other PHEVs.
This is where I was going. What we've seen, we've now been selling PHEVs for, I couldn't know, in 12 years. And I mean, because we're at, then we can check on the number of 8 years. And the, well done, sir. Now, I think it's I don't want to go out and say, but I think what I'd like us to check is the performance of those batteries, because I know it's good. It's out, like these batteries are performing extremely good 8 years. They're not like, the batteries that, wear out like the shred. So
But PHEVs have all the batteries.
Yeah.
Talking about EV.
Yeah.
And the battery, well, you got the battery, it was going to,
there's no propulsion, right? Yeah.
You don't see that EVs with still right batteries after 5 years. They're only 60%.
Okay.
One brand and I cannot mention.
Yep.
But they are not using any active cooling for the poly cooling.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to buy it afterwards.
I get it, right? And I think this is something that the industry and us are going to have to come to grips with. How do we make sure that the confidence is there? And like we have right now, it's an 8-year warranty, right? 8-year warranty on the battery. So,
but I make sure you can have a load for 9 years.
Yeah, you can. That's true. And I would say our customers rarely would keep
And on days, have them searching something different. They can do it as questions that, yep, they are still asking me.
And I think, in addition to this end of life, where cars, how do you take care of these batteries? We're looking at solutions for that at Volvo as well. I mean, this is a journey that we're going to have to sort out for sure.
Maybe Volvo, the other parts, they offer a service where they can lease full battery and for every minute.
Yeah, this is something. If there's an accident and batteries are damaged, we can replace this, right? We haven't yet, even with our 8-year-old PHEVs coming in where the batteries are wearing out, right? So that this is something that we, could that happen? I think it could. No, we have an 8-year insurance policy for now to give people, I think, a lot of peace of mind, right? And I think now we're proving that those batteries are living even beyond our expectations out past 8 years. Yeah. So there's good indications that the outcome could be good, right? If mobiles, right? I mean, your estimate for your years the high effectively very in the markets where we don't have to. Yeah, way higher. The party thing, I think they're seeing that the performance of those even 5, 6, 7-year-old PHEV system very good. A story that a couple of stories that I can share with you. My history at Volvo. We many years back said, okay, we're going to stop building 8-cylinder engine and 6-cylinder. I was pretty new at the company, just started, my marketing job in Japan, and I'm American. I'm like, no 8-cylinder engines. This is a disaster, right? And they're like, no, it'll be fine. We're going to build the best 4-cylinder engines in the world, and we're going to get the horsepower, and that's what people care about. The horsepower torque, not the number of cylinders. So we stopped all development of 8 cylinders, 6 cylinders, and focused everything on building best 4-cylinder engines that we can. And it worked.
Yeah.
Right? And they did this long before it was popular to do something like that. Next, we also, when I was in Sweden, the shift from diesel to petrol, right? So we said, oh, you know what? We're stopping developing diesel engines. It was even before all of that. If I get the time right in check, it's before or around the same time with all of the diesel problems that happened in Europe. And we said, okay, we're getting out of the business. I'm driving. I was only driving petrols in Sweden, or diesels in Sweden. Yeah. Wonderful performance, wonderful cars. I'm like, and it's like 80%, 90% of the industry are like, oh, we're getting out of this business. I'm like, that's crazy. But it wasn't crazy. And we did it first. And you save huge development cost and put all of your development money into building the engine. You have not, this probably our biggest call now is we've stopped developing hydro engines, right? And we are all in on electric. And I think this also, it keeps us from being distracted. We're all in on electric.
You know what's funny? But it scares me. I was talking about it's back in 2012 when Europe was all these motor trend editor came over and visited me. Yes, Jack Roof, my good friend, came over. And I was like, oh, why do Americans, pick up diesel and all that? Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Then he was like, yeah, the Europeans will get out of this soon. They're dumb now. They will realize. I was like, really? It's like 89% of how they do it. But he told me they will get out of it, soon. Yes, because of the on sign or what. Yeah. And sure enough, it happened. I was
in these big calls. I think Volvo is ahead of making these calls, and I do think we're ahead in making call on Thunder Africa as well. I certainly hope so.
Let's all get that. So you let us go.
You got a few new petrol, yes, new picture, yes. Favors, whether be your own noble and written. Yes, but we're quickly getting out of my area of expertise. I mean, they can be a little careful here.
I may be wrong here, but I'm very close to, and that
nice letter.
He was involved in the
yes.
At the very early stage, during when all the premium brands were doing this PHEV thing, right? What I learned from him is that he said, Volvo started their own development, whereas others rush up by buying off the shelf. That's why the early stages, Volvo was easier to troubleshoot issues versus the other brands. So that's why people
You know that
the whole drivetrain, the power unit, the hybrid motors, and all the hybrid. Remember, the other brands were buying the electric motor that was slotted in between the engine and the gearbox, whereas Volvo is like two architecture.
yeah,
Battery and motor. Yes, that was. It's really interfere less, for battery. Every unit. At that stage, but now I'm not sure because Volvo with their partners,
we'll talk about the software. I think the software and the electric propulsion, right? This is something I don't think we'll ever outsource.
No, I chat with a lot of Volvo industry. Yeah, because they're in their 50s, 40s, 50s. One thing that they say is that anything that is new, potentially risky, if they were to try it, let it be a Volvo. Because I mean that's what the company's philosophy has always been. Yeah. I also see Volvo differently. It's not my company that is up there just to earn money, or trying to escape taxation, taxes based on emission or whatnot. So I think for consumers, that's the one thing that if Volvo thinks and say, yeah,
I think this comes from our safety heritage, right?
Yes,
People trust us because this is, we at the very basics, it will be safe. That is something that we will never. And for those of you that have been to Sweden, when you see the focus in the company, unwavering over 97 years, that safety is always it. Doesn't matter what whether it's electrification or propulsion or anything that we try. I think autonomous drive is going to be another area that if you're ever going to trust anyone, you can trust us. But we will be very careful to make sure that we're protecting your family. Probably saw at our recent EX30 launch, diversity in country, nationality, race, gender, it shows in what we do, right? And I think, especially in Malaysia, I think it rings very true. I think we build better hive systems. I really do. They are good. So there's good support for plug-in hybrids from the Malaysian government.
Yeah, that's very important.
Right? It is very important. So I think we like to, give our comments about how the government is performing. For us, one of the reasons that we can perform well in plug-in hybrids is favorable tax situation. And we can make the pricing between plug-ins and petrol very attractive.
The Singaporeans and the US, because even the T8 is too expensive, they didn't even bother to bring it in. Yeah, a lot of people didn't realize.
So I think we, one of the things that I do think the government is doing a job is making these, if you want to get into electrification, they're making that choice easier, right? And we are bringing a lineup that also supports, right? And it's really a pleasure for us that some of our greatest technology is and affordable for Malaysians, especially PHEVs.
What is it for the government when the government give this set of incentives to global? Then when I see so many businesses jumping into the charging industries, at first they bring in products from Europe.
Yeah.
Now they have their own, they're made here and all that. And I think when they compete amongst one another, their products are good enough. Maybe we'll soon see Malaysians exporting these things.
We're already exporting, we're exporting full electrics and plug-ins to ASEAN. We're the only ones doing it. So I think it is, need a very good support from the government. They of course like that we're exporting.
You guys have been exporting since quite some time.
Yeah.
Earning us some.
Why not parts? I'm personally also paying that part.
Hey, remember one press call? There was a media who asked Volvo, with all this, when do you plan to have local assembly? And then
This thing's going to be a whole new segment for us, right? And it'll get customers into the brand and an opportunity for get the specs. Some of are amazing. The range, the acceleration. Yeah, it's very exciting.
You know, when the S90 came out, sorry, there's a picture that when the S90 came out, a lot of people couldn't accept the rear pillars
And then,
the clan.
yeah.
But now you look back at same segment cars from competitors, 2060.
So we are very much looking forward to the launches of an EX30 and X90, but it is going to take some, right? I mean, they're not launched in Europe yet. These are not cars from this year. It's coming into next year. And, you know, one thing that I think you'll definitely see is that we'll have EX30 first.
But I see that the XC40 was developed in the profile and proportions of an SUV.
Yes.
But the EX30 is more like a crossover.
A bit, but still, I think it has that SUV, and now there's going to be a cross country edition of it. They just teased that a little bit, right? It's country EX30, an EX30 cross country. You'll see in the launch video. They just briefly,
Okay, interesting.
yeah. So I think if you want that kind of hardcore SUV, should be interesting. Interesting casual.
Yep.